It's incredible how the smallest coin in your pocket could be worth a small fortune. We're talking about pennies today, but not just any pennies. These are the kinds of 1-cent coins that have shocked collectors and surprised everyday people who had no idea what they were holding. In this video, we're focusing on 3 fascinating examples from the 1970s and 1990s that have become legendary for their rarity, oddities, and eye-popping values. Each of them tells its own story, through history, minting mishaps, and market demand. That makes them more than just spare change. Let's kick things off with one of the most famous modern Lincoln cents, the 1972 double die obverse penny. At first glance, it looks just like every other penny minted that year. But if you take a closer look, especially at the word liberty, the motto "In God We Trust," and the date, 1972, you might notice something strange. The letters appear almost doubled, like they've been stamped twice. That's exactly what happened. During the minting process, a misalignment between the working die and the hub created a noticeable doubling effect. This wasn't a slight, barely visible shift. It's bold, dramatic, and easy to spot with the naked eye, which is partly why it caught so much attention in the first place. This variety is known as the 1972 double die obverse, or DDO for short. Only one die was responsible, which means all the known examples trace back to a single faulty tool at the Philadelphia Mint. Estimates suggest that around 250,000 of these were struck before the die was removed, but far fewer survived in collectible condition. Most ended up in circulation and were spent countless times before collectors realized what they were. Today, it's believed that only a few thousand remain, and even fewer exist in pristine, uncirculated shape. So what's the value? That depends heavily on the condition. A circulated 1972 DDO penny in average shape might sell for $200 to $300, which is already incredible for a coin you could have found in change. But when you step into mint state territory, especially MS 63 and above, prices climb fast. High-grade examples consistently fetch between $1,000 and $3,000. In 2021, one stunning MS 67 red specimen sold at auction for over $14,000. That's not a typo. $14,000 for a penny. What really sets this coin apart is how easy it is to miss. Plenty of people unknowingly spent these or tossed them into jars, not realizing they were holding a numismatic gem. The doubling is prominent, but only if you know to look for it. And this isn't a minor variety that only specialists care about. The 1972 DDO is one of the most collected error coins of the Lincoln Memorial series and is featured in just about every guide or reference book for modern coin errors. There's also a fun wrinkle in the story. Multiple lesser double die varieties were produced that year, but only one, the one known as DDO 001, commands serious value. The others are considered minor and worth far less. So identifying the true variety means knowing the markers. The strongest doubling appears on the word liberty, where the letters have clear separation and extra thickness. On "In God We Trust," the split in the letters is also dramatic, especially on the G and T. The date itself also shows visible doubling, which helps confirm you've got the right one. Condition plays a massive role, not just in value, but also in how collectors pursue this coin. Many are hunting for examples with full red luster, those that never tone brown from circulation. A red 1972 DDO in high mint state is the crown jewel for Lincoln cent enthusiasts. Brown or red-brown examples are still valuable, but they command less than their full red counterparts. Even small differences in color and strike quality can translate into hundreds or thousands of dollars in auction premiums. For experienced collectors, this coin is often a milestone. Finding one in circulation today is almost unheard of, but not impossible. Stories still pop up now and then of someone finding one in an old roll or inherited jar of pennies. And every time it happens, it reignites the interest in this humble yet historic error. Next, we're jumping ahead a couple of decades to a rare cent from the 1990s that proves lightning can strike twice. Now let's talk about the 1996 Lincoln penny, an otherwise unremarkable coin from a high-production year that becomes incredibly exciting once you dig into the errors and rare varieties that have emerged. While billions were minted, including over 6.6 billion from the Philadelphia Mint alone, Only a tiny fraction display the kind of mistakes that collectors drool over. These are coins that were never meant to be noticed, yet they've gained legendary status among error enthusiasts thanks to their bizarre and valuable misprints. Let's start with what collectors consider the crown jewel of 1996 penny errors: the missing letters and grease-filled die strikes, often seen on coins where parts of Liberty, the motto "In God We Trust," or even the date have partially or fully vanished. These aren't double dies or planchet errors. These are die fill errors, usually caused by excessive grease or debris clogging parts of the die. When that happens, the design doesn't fully strike into the coin. For most coins, this wouldn't matter much. But when it causes entire letters or digits to disappear, like a 1996 penny missing the 1 in the date, reading as 996, suddenly you've got something that's both eye-catching and incredibly rare. These grease-filled die errors are surprisingly desirable when the missing elements are dramatic. Coins where just a portion of a letter is faded aren't worth much. But when a full letter or number is missing and the rest of the strike is clean and centered, that's when collectors get excited. Depending on condition, these can sell from $50 up to $500 or more, with especially bold examples bringing in higher prices. What adds to the appeal is how wild they look. A date reading 996 or 96 makes you do a double take, and in some cases, collectors initially mistook them for fakes before the error was better understood. Another rare and valuable 1996 penny variant involves the broad strike error, when a coin is struck without a retaining collar, causing it to spread outward with a flattened, oversized appearance. These broad-struck cents are instantly recognizable, and because they're so visually different from normal coins, they've become favorites in the error coin community. A 1996 broad strike penny in mint state can easily bring in $150 to $400, depending on how clean and symmetrical the strike is. One of the more famous confirmed errors for this year is the 1996 double strike, where the coin was struck twice in misaligned positions, creating an eerie ghost image of Lincoln's profile and the reverse design. These errors are extremely scarce and almost never found in circulation. When they do appear, especially in uncirculated condition, they sell for well over $1,000 at auction. It's not just the rarity that drives prices up, it's also the shock factor. Seeing Lincoln's head doubled at two different angles, or the Lincoln Memorial duplicated with a visible shift creates a kind of surreal effect that's instantly memorable. On the flip side, the standard 1996 Lincoln cent, no errors, no varieties, still holds some interest for registry set collectors trying to build complete mint state collections. The problem? Finding a 1996 penny with a flawless strike and full red color is surprisingly hard. The Philadelphia Mint didn't have its best year for strike quality, and the sheer volume of coins produced means most suffered dings and scratches right off the line. That makes high-end graded examples rare. An MS 67 red from this year can command prices of $150 to $250, simply because so few exist with the right combination of color, strike, and surface quality. That's a hefty price tag for a coin you'd normally overlook. And let's not forget one of the oddest stories surrounding the 1996 penny. A few examples have surface struck on planchets meant for foreign coins. The U.S. Mint struck coins for other countries throughout the 1990s, and planchets occasionally got mixed in with domestic runs. A known example is the 1996 Lincoln cent struck on a 10-cent planchet intended for use in a foreign nation, weighing significantly less and appearing silvery in tone. When one of these shows up and is authenticated by a reputable grading service, it becomes a serious auction piece. These oddball errors can fetch thousands, depending on condition and exact composition. So how do you know if your 1996 penny is valuable? First, check for visual anomalies, missing letters, off-center designs, or weird metal colors. Then, weigh the coin if you suspect it might be struck on the wrong planchet. A standard 1996 penny should weigh about 2.5 grams. If it's significantly under that, you might have something special. Finally, look at the surfaces. A clean, fully red coin with sharp details, especially in Lincoln's hair and the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, can bump your value up even if no error is present. In the end, the 1996 penny is a perfect example of how modern coins still hold plenty of surprises. It shows that even after decades of advanced technology and quality controls, the US Mint isn't immune to mistakes, and those mistakes are exactly what keep collectors coming back. They're reminders that every coin, even one as common as a 1-cent piece from the 90s, has the potential to be something extraordinary. Now that we've looked at these three incredible Lincoln cents, from the dramatic doubling of 1972 to the wild off-strikes of 1994 and the surprising ghost prints and vanishing digits of 1996, it's clear that the value of a coin isn't just in the metal. It's in the story, the error, and the way it captures a moment that slipped through the cracks of perfection. So next time you're holding a handful of change, take a second look. You might be holding a hidden treasure. Sliding from the tech-driven gleam of the mid-1990s to the charged atmosphere of 1970 brings us to a quarter minted against the backdrop of Vietnam conflict protests, moonshot aspirations, and a nation in transition. The 1970 Washington quarter, struck in both Philadelphia and Denver, shares its obverse with generations past, yet it embraces its own story of minting quirks and collector intrigue. Though production numbers exceeded 500 million, certain error varieties and high-grade survivors have quietly become jewels among seasoned numismatists. In early 1970, the U.S. Mint still crafted quarters from the copper-nickel clad composition introduced in 1965, ditching silver in response to rising bullion costs. Unlike the bicentennial redesign 9 years away, the 1970 quarter retains John Flanagan's classic portrait of Washington, framed by the enduring inscriptions. But the story of rarity isn't in the face of the coin. It's in the tiny, often overlooked imperfections hiding on die surfaces. Whether it's a double die reverse, a die crack wandering through the eagle's feathers, or a filled mint mark that softens the defining D or P, these anomalies emerged when die polishers and inspectors missed a few stray lines or debris on the die. Collectors hunt for the most dramatic of these varieties first. A prominent double die reverse, for example, manifests as a ghostly second set of talon lines or feather quills beneath the eagle's wings. The cheek smear error, another popular variety, stems from grease accumulating on the die's cheek area, resulting in a flat, unstruck patch on Washington's visage, an odd detail that leaps out under even low magnification. Meanwhile, filled mint marks appear when grease or debris partially obscures the mint mark hub, creating a smaller, softer letter than its perfectly struck siblings. Each of these anomalies slipped through quality control for mere hours or days, limiting surviving examples to what enthusiasts term the error window. Despite mintages of 354 million at Philadelphia and 192 million at Denver, documented error pieces often number in the low hundreds per variety, especially in uncirculated grades. A filled mint mark Denver quarter graded MS 63, for instance, might still fetch $350 to $400 on the secondary market, while the same variety at MS 65 can climb above $1,200. Auction houses occasionally showcase a dazzling MS 67 double die reverse that realizes over $5,000, testament to the premium placed on flawless surfaces paired with eye-catching anomalies. In March 2025, a P-Mint double die quarter graded MS 65 sold for $1,800, surpassing pre-auction estimates by nearly 20%, proof that demand remains strong even decades later. Among the most captivating tales is the story of a Philadelphia sales clerk who kept a handful of 1970 quarters from her register rolls after discovering subtle doubling on the reverse. She tucked them into a cigar box label, where they lay forgotten until her grandson inherited them 20 years later. Upon noticing the anomalies during a coin club meeting, he sent images to a grading service, and to his astonishment, for quarters, each MS 66, graded nearly flawless and sold collectively for over $22,000. That unexpected windfall underlines how improbable errors, combined with top-tier preservation, amplify value exponentially. For collectors piecing together a comprehensive 1970 error set, understanding condition-based value swings is crucial. A barely circulated coin with faint die crack lines meandering through the rim might command $150 to $200, attractive for budget-conscious enthusiasts. Upgrading to mint state grades doubles or triples those figures. MS 64 error specimens generally fetch $400 to $500, while crossing into MS 66 territory often triggers five-figure bids, especially if the doubling is crisp, the field's free of spotting, and the luster vibrant. In contrast, common business strike quarters in grades below G4 hold face value, so condition truly differentiates the routine from the remarkable. Beyond minting glitches, the 1970 quarter harbors fascinating historical notes. That year saw the first trillionth coin struck by the U.S. Mint, a mind-boggling milestone celebrated with a special presentation of $1 silver, a cent striking outside of regular circulation operations. Though unrelated to our clad quarters, the event underscores the industrial might behind coin production at that moment in history. Some collectors even seek quarters from production runs immediately before and after the trillionth strike, hoping subtle die where differences might reveal near-miss anomalies, an exercise in obsessive detail that speaks to the passionate precision of seasoned hobbyists. Digging deeper, you'll uncover quieter rarities like the blanching error, where planchets weren't properly tumbled before striking, leaving streaks of dull gray amid the bright fields. These examples can land between $250 and $600, depending on grade and eye appeal, and often captivate collectors who prize more obscure mistakes. The beauty of chasing 1,970 errors lies in the breadth of possible discoveries, from bold double dies that shout for attention to the most subdued mint-mark flaws that require a practiced eye and a hot lamp to reveal. If you're on the hunt, start by targeting rolls from bank sets or original mint packaging. Uncirculated pieces drastically improve your odds of finding mint-state anomalies. Employ a 5x loop and swivel lights across the coin's surface, paying special attention to the mint mark area for filled letter clues and the reverse for any doubling beneath the eagle. Online auction archives and specialized publications list die variety positions by roll order and die stage, giving you a map to track likely error windows, a technique that transforms random searching into a semi-scientific expedition. Condition is the final arbiter of value. While an MS-63 filled mint-mark quarter might offer an entry point around $300, advancing to MS-65 can quadruple that figure. From MS-66 upward, you're staring at very high six-figure potential for the boldest double dies or rarest die crack patterns. And let's not forget the allure of proof-like specimens. When a regular business strike quarter occasionally emerges with deep mirrors and sharp contrast, it can redefine the term rare for that year's output. Those proof-like survivors, especially with any additional error, are the unicorns of the collecting world, often remaining under wraps in private collections for decades before surfacing in high-end auctions. As we wrap our exploration of the 1970 quarter, you've seen how a coin minted in tumultuous times carries secrets in its very metal. From striking anomalies born of debris and dye, where to market records that eclipse face value by thousands, this coin stands as a testament to the thrill of discovery. Soon, we'll pivot to the 1983 quarter, another era's workhorse hiding its own minting surprises and market triumphs. Get ready to uncover how a piece of everyday change can become an extraordinary centerpiece in any seasoned collector's treasure trove.